Welcome to a journey into the most famous sentence ever written, John 3:16, often called the Gospel in a nutshell. To understand these 25 words, we must look at the midnight meeting between Jesus and Nicodemus, a high-ranking religious leader seeking truth in the dark. Nicodemus was confused by the new birth, leading Jesus to explain the cosmic mechanics of salvation through the lens of God's character. For God. The verse begins not with man's search for God, but with God's initiative toward man, establishing him as the first cause of grace. The subject. It starts with the Creator, the sovereign of the universe, who owes nothing to his creation but chooses to move toward it. So loved. The Greek word used here is agape, a sacrificial, unconditional, and choice-based love that transcends mere emotion or fleeting feelings. The intensity. The word "so" doesn't just describe the amount of love, but the manner of love. It means in this way or to this incredible extent. The world. This is the most shocking part of the sentence for a first-century listener. In the Greek cosmos, it refers to the entire fallen, rebellious human system. Universal scope. God did not just love a specific tribe, the righteous or the lovable, but the totality of a world that had actively turned its back on him. The condition of the world. We must remember that the world in John's Gospel is often portrayed as being in darkness and under the shadow of spiritual death. That he gave. Love in the biblical sense is never static. It is inherently kinetic and must express itself through the act of giving. The ultimate sacrifice. God's love wasn't a distant sentiment. It was a costly action that required the highest possible price the heavens could pay. His only begotten Son. The term monogenes signifies that Jesus is unique, of the exact same essence as the Father, and irreplaceable. The Abrahamic echo. This language mirrors the story of Abraham and Isaac, but here, the Father does not stay the hand of sacrifice. He follows through. The divinity of Christ. By giving his Son, God gave himself, showing that the bridge to humanity was built with the very substance of divinity. The purpose of the gift. The gift wasn't meant to condemn a world already under judgment, but to provide a rescue op for those trapped in the wreckage of sin. That whoever. This is the great open door of the gospel, stripping away barriers of race, status, past failures, or intellectual standing. Radical inclusion. Whoever means the thief on the cross, the moral philosopher, the broken addict, and the religious elite are all standing on level ground. Believes in him. The Greek pisteuon implies more than intellectual agreement. It describes a continuous leaning trust and total reliance upon a person. Active faith. It is not about believing that Jesus existed, but believing into him, casting one's entire weight upon his finished work. The object of faith. Notice the focus is in him, not in our own goodness, our church attendance, or our ability to keep the law. The human response. While God provides the gift, the verse clarifies that the benefit is applied through the human instrument of faith. This is a sobering reminder of the alternative. Without the intervention of the Son, the natural trajectory of the soul is perishing. This isn't just physical death, but apollumi, the total loss of purpose, spiritual ruin, and eternal separation from the source of life. The verse honestly acknowledges that humans are in peril, framing the gospel as a necessary lifeboat rather than a mere self-help suggestion. This is a pivot point of hope, transitioning from the tragedy of ruin to the triumph of possession. The verb tense indicates that having this life isn't just a future promise for after we die. It begins the moment faith is exercised. This is zoon aionian. It refers not just to the quantity of time, forever, but the quality of the life itself. It is the very life of God infused into the human spirit, a life that is immune to the decay of the physical world. Everlasting life is a state of being in union with Christ, where the sting of death is swallowed up by the power of his resurrection. When you piece it together, you see a golden chain. God, the author, love, the motive, the world, the object, and giving, the act. Son, the gift, whoever, the recipient, believe, the means, and life, the result. This verse destroys the idea that we can earn our way to heaven. If it is a gift that is given, it cannot be a wage that is earned. John 3:16 corrects the misconception that the Father is angry and the Son is loving. It shows the Father as the primary architect of love. This single verse spans the gap between the fall in Genesis and the restoration in Revelation. From stadium banners to bumper stickers, this verse has become the most recognizable address in the history of human literature. Its power lies in its simplicity. A child can understand its heart, yet a theologian can spend a lifetime swimming in its depths. We must move from the world to the me, realizing that God's gaze in this verse includes your specific name and story. The perishing mentioned isn't a threat, but a present reality that God is desperately inviting us to escape. Receiving this life changes our perspective on everything: suffering, purpose, relationships, and the fear of the grave. For the viewer, the verse presents a choice: to remain in the perishing state of the self or to move into the life of the Son. Never forget that the giving of the Son culminated in the cross, where the agape of God was written in blood. The empty tomb is the proof that the everlasting life promised in this verse is a biological and spiritual reality. This promise has held true for 2,000 years, sustaining martyrs, comforting the dying, and igniting global missions. When Jesus was given, he didn't just try to save. He accomplished everything necessary for our reconciliation. We don't know exactly how he responded that night, but we later see him defending Jesus and helping bury his body. Nicodemus' journey suggests that when you truly encounter the "so loved" of John 3:16, you cannot remain the same. This verse is a standing invitation from the Creator to the creature, asking for trust in exchange for eternity. If you've never looked at these words as a personal letter to you, today is the day to start. God loved, God gave, we believe, and we live. That is the simple, earth-shattering power of the gospel.